Welcome to Sanctuary Hills. I feel like most Fallout settlement builders have some sort of grudge or gripe with this settlement, whether due to its sheer size, awkward borders, or just the state that some of the structures are in. This is not the easiest settlement to build at. My time spent here will be the beginning of a new build series on my channel where I rebuild every settlement in the game, starting here at Sanctuary. My thought process going into this build is that I always go too big with a Sanctuary design, so I thought to myself, what if the whole settlement was just debatably the best part of this settlement, this little cul-de-sac here? So with that in mind, I just kind of started scrapping everything. I have a pretty good scrap mod on, but I wasn't sure the limitations exactly, so this is definitely the first step I had to do just to make sure I could actually delete everything that I wanted. Don't worry, I do speed through most of this footage because it's pretty redundant. I mean, I'm literally just scrapping everything. I just wanted to show a little bit of the process here and there of the whole build. Luckily, some of these structures were easier to delete than others, but it was kind of a grueling process, honestly. I did save the best house for last. Sorry, Codsworth. At least you'll have less to clean now, though. And with that, we're left with this final stretch of houses. The rest is looking pretty boring and leveled for now, but don't worry, we'll come back to that later. I did have a few small minor issues with scrapping, like I assumed I would, but luckily it was just a couple little debris piles. These will be super easy to cover up with landscaping when I tackle that later. Along with my favorite landscaping mod, this will be super easy to fill up with trees and other natural clutter. But for now, I'd rather focus on some more of the structural elements of the settlement, and then we'll come back to the more decorative stuff later. Speaking of structures, I do have a little bit more scrapping to do in the cul-de-sac area. We have a few more completely ruined houses just to knock out of the way now. I did leave some of the foundations on these plots for now, just in case I needed them for later, but don't grow too attached to them because I did end up deleting them all. For my next project, I actually decided to work on the fencing around the cul-de-sac area. I figured if I set up the kind of boundary around the space I wanted, it would be easier to kind of formulate a plan for the rest of the settlement. For said fencing, I actually ended up using the vanilla junk fence pieces, as well as some junk fences from the mod CVC Dead Wasteland, which is my #1 go-to mod on Xbox if you are looking for something that has a little bit of everything. The goal here was just to alternate some different fencing along the backs of each of the houses until I eventually made it all around the borders of where I wanted the settlement itself to be. A cool thing about some of the CVC fencing is it does snap, which is super helpful in certain circumstances, but for this case, it was not helpful. For getting certain angles and pieces to fit exactly where I wanted them, this is where using the two different kinds of fencing came in really helpful, because I was able to get the base game ones super close and angled to the CVC ones, and then when I wanted straight edges, I could just snap the CVC ones. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead to when I get past this first house here. When I came into this settlement, I knew these borders were going to give me a hard time, especially with how I want the fencing set up. So I went ahead and ahead of the game downloaded a settlement border extended mod. This just kind of extends the limits of your building past those green lines to a certain extent. And it was super helpful for me to get these fences to stay curved how I really wanted them and to avoid the really weird edges of the settlement borders here. Behind this blue house here, I did make sure to include this little bunker back here. I might decorate it or use it for something cheeky later. So for the fencing, I just made sure to angle around this back lot and just use it for a yard or something later. When I made it past this house, I did decide it was a good stopping point for this side of the fence. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to put in the lot next to this house. Pretty sure it's going to be used for like agriculture or the farm or something, but I don't know how I'm going to lay that out yet, so I don't want to just throw some fencing through it and have to redo it later. So for now, I just made my way back to the entrance to begin working from the other side. I did delete this little playground and backyard first though. Obviously, this process was the same exact thing, just going the opposite direction, so I will speed through most of it pretty quick for you. I ended up making it just past this blue house over here and decided to take a break on at least the main fence structure. I wasn't sure at the point if I wanted to add an exit here that led to the water, which is probably a good idea. So I moved on for now, added a few small details to the fences just to fill in some holes and dead space in it. I found these car junk fences in CVC that filled in a lot of the major areas. Like, I really liked how these kind of overgrown ones filled in this space past the border over here. It was definitely a great space filler. I also really liked the look of some of these tire piles along the edges. Not only did it make it look more cohesive, but it helped fill in some of the small holes along the bottom that like bugs and stuff could get into, so structurally they looked really good. There were a few spots between the two different kinds of fencing where I just didn't like along the top how they blended, so I messed around with a few different railings and options and didn't love how it was looking until I found these slope pieces in CVC that were exactly what I needed. I just kind of layered these along with them with the slope of wherever there was a weird blend missing, and it filled in the space so well and helped all of the fences kind of look like they were the same size, if that makes sense. While I was over here, I went ahead and scrapped this front of this yard that was left here. I'm thinking kind of a staging or caravan area right at the entrance here, so I needed some space. I also found this awesome archway in CVC in the fence pieces. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep it, but it fits really well, so I think it's going to stay. With I'd say 70-80% of the fence now finished, it is time to move on to some of the other structures and layout planning of the settlement itself. The first thing I added was a utility shed for power over here in this plot, and this was about where I decided that I did not need those foundations anymore because I used a lot of prefabs that had foundations on them. Once I got this prefab where I wanted it, the obvious problem was that settlers couldn't get into it, so I scoured through all the stairs, through all my mods, until I finally found these pier stairs from the mod G2M, and they were just the perfect length and fit for the front of this foundation. I love how it looks. CVC has some really cool different power generators and themed items, a lot of which will probably go into this building itself. But what I was looking for was this kind of large generator to go on the outside. Not only is it a perfect fit in the sense of it fitting along the side of the building in these hedges, but it also kind of identifies the building for what it is, and I really like it. I then moved along next door, and after deleting the foundation and yard here, I decided to push the main fence back past that settlement border yet again, just to give me plenty of space for either an agriculture or farm area over here. I found this really cool guard post in CVC that I decided to attach along this side, mostly because we needed a little bit more defense looking out this way past the settlement. I even added an extra half wall back behind this piece, just for some better structural ability and just to make it look like it was part of the fence itself. Along the next edge, I did decide to finally throw in a bit of a corner piece. I wanted to keep this mostly round, but I got to this side, and with these hedges here, it was just screaming for just a piece put right on this corner. And then, of course, I just filled in between here and where I was. I then flipped through a bunch of different prefabs until finally just deciding on this base game warehouse one. Would work perfect for storage or a barn, which is exactly what I need over here. So I shoved it in a little bit past those settlement limits, but since I really just need this for storage, it shouldn't be an issue. I love using these foundation pieces from Snappy Housekit. They are the perfect addition for buildings that you want to look a little bit more supportive, but you might not have a foundation piece that fits perfectly under it. And they snap right under most buildings, like you can't beat it. I added a couple little ramps to the front of this because it makes sense if you had to wheel a bunch of supply or animals into the barn, and then I pretty much called it quits on this area for now. My next addition were some of these really cool sanctuary house prefabs that are included in CVC. I used these a bunch in the last sanctuary build that I attempted. Rest in peace, that build that no one will probably ever see. But this one specifically fits so perfectly along the side of this building that it was just meant to be. Once I did that, it was a perfect time to finish the rest of the fence. Pretty much same situation as it has been. I did add that extra exit there behind the one building, and it came out super well. I did add a little bit of a hedgerow here, mostly because I didn't want to have to decorate back there or make another yard or anything. So I just filled that spot in and then added one more of these junky car prefabs just to fill in the space so I could just forget about it. The last building I added was just a little bit bigger one of those prefabs, and I even attached a little carport to the side of it too. Was the perfect fit for where this one ruined house was. I think I'm gonna make it like a clinic or drugstore or something. Not 100% sure yet, but it looks great. We are now at a really good stopping point for this video. All the main structures and the main fence is finished. Now it's time to plan some layout. I think first on the agenda for part 2 is going to be some roof repair because these damn roofs look so bad. Definitely let me know what you think of the settlement so far, and some feedback on this kind of new video format would be cool too. I hope you guys enjoy this new series so far. I'm so excited to be making more regular content and maybe even start streaming again, so keep an eye out for that. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.